forgets the fishermen of England are working at their nets. In tiny vessels they defy the perils of the deep and scan the water's dreary waste with eyes that never sleep. And when at night you safely lie in blankets snug and warm, the fishermen of England are riding out the storm.
Give me blue, starlit skies, moonlight too. Give me trees and give me water every morning, shiny dew. I don't envy all the fruits that people savor. Just one or two would fill the need in me. The simple things in life are all I ask for. That doesn't mean to say that I receive.
Okay, we're all used to the serious stuff about water, but just sit down now and hold your breath. You're not going to believe this story. I don't, and I was there. This is the home, just off the M62 near Huddersfield, of Jake the Rake Mangelwurzel. Yes, that's his real name by deed poll. When I arrived, this self-confessed king of English eccentrics wasn't there. This is Jake's story.
Oakworth Valley near Keighley. Here, living in an ordinary two-bedroom flat, is Jean Smith, her husband and family. But her family is far from ordinary.
Hello, Jean.
Hello.
Oh, and hello to the family as well.
This is Coco.
Oh, my goodness me. I said,
Now then.
not normal.
Oh, yes,
And
there we
there
are.
they are. Oh,
Chester's on top of the door.
Hey, Chester.
Chips is round here
Hello.
somewhere.
Chipsy. Hello.
There
Lovely
you
to meet
are.
you. They are absolutely beautiful. Hello.
There are monkeys and their cages literally everywhere. In the living room, in the spare bedroom, and even in the kitchen.
A sunny summer Sunday. Many Yorkshire folk dodge over to the Lake District for normal sporting activity. Walking, climbing, abseiling, cycling on the sheer 300-foot rock faces. Cycling? Did I say cycling?
It's sort of being at one with nature. It's, you're on your own, and it is like you are flying yourself.
There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, when the world is free.
Shirley King, and to her many fans, the East Coast answer to Vera Lynn.
And peace ever after. Tomorrow, just you wait and see.
With husband Jack, she's lovingly kept alive the musical memories of the 1940s in Cleethorpes for over 30 years.
Bloom again.
The thing is, people these days expect entertainment to be at their fingertips like that, don't they?
True, Chris. Also very true. But there are some folk in our region who would prefer to trip down memory lane. You know, enjoy some entertainments of old. And in fact, tonight, we've got some of their stories.
Which way is memory lane?
Over there. For centuries, people have been looking for a form of relaxation to get away from the cut and thrust of everyday life. Well, for a group of people from Yorkshire, the cut and thrust of it is literally their relaxation.
The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge, cry God for Harry, England and St George. But who are these people wielding swords in 1992?
Well, the Golden Lions of England was formed in 1988, and it's a 14th century society. And basically, we're trying to reenact 14th century life in all its aspects. What we do, we come to places like Warwick here, and we do shows which involve 20 minutes to half an hour fighting, as long as we can stand up. And we get the crowd involved in it all. We get them wound up and we insult them, and they seem to enjoy it anyway.
Chris Ewan from near York has been involved in medieval combat societies for 16 years.
When I was younger, I've always had an interest in fantasy and such things, and just swinging a sword around seemed to appeal to me, so that's how I started. I think everyone's different and different things appeal to different people. Medievalism just appealed to me. I can't really say why, it's just the kind of thing that I really enjoy. So I didn't know it was this much fun before I started, which is why I stayed with it so long.
Right, Secundus.
But to have this much fun, you must first undergo a rigorous training schedule.
Go like that.
It is a dangerous sport to just pick up a sword yourself and start going. It's much better to join a recognised society and get them to train you in the proper use of it. Otherwise, you are risking quite a serious injury. They are dangerous weapons. I mean, that's what they were for. So it's very wise to get trained properly.
The Golden Lions of England stage about 8 tournaments a year. So is each battle carefully choreographed in detail beforehand?
In the morning, before the show, we basically design the show for the afternoon, so we basically know what we're going to do. With the training that we provide, we keep accidents down to a minimum. I mean, the most severe injury we get is a grazed knuckle, now and again.
Very good, very good.
Grazed knuckle or no, the Golden Lions range from architects and electricians in real life from all over the United Kingdom. Far away from the clamour of battle in the sleepy village of Sancton near York lives Chris Ewan, the foremost knight and leader of the Golden Lions. He readily admits to being obsessed with medievalism. He even gave up his career as an engineer to be one of Britain's few full-time armourers.
I taught myself. It's a self-taught. There's no college courses in armour building or anything like that.
It's a 12-hour-a-day job keeping the Knights of Merry England in the field.
I start work at about 9 o'clock and carry on till about 6 and have some tea, and then I'm back in here for a couple of hours in the evening. I could be doing anything in a day, from making swords to making armour to making jewellery, leather work, quite a few different things I'd make in here.
Now, before all of us girls start shouting, hey, what about us, women too have a part to play in the society. But was there a battle of the sexes in medieval times?
It's very difficult not being sexist about it. In reenactment, obviously in the 14th century, women did not get dressed up in suits of armour. But nowadays, we have to be more liberal about it. But still, I mean, none of the girls we have in the society want to dress up in 4 stone of armour, so we're quite lucky there.
The women do get to pull some strings. Chris's girlfriend has naturally become involved in his medieval life.
Well, about 7 years ago, a friend of mine was doing the English Civil War reenactment, and I started going to that, and I did that for about 3 years. And then I met Chris, and he was involved in medieval reenactment, and I found it a much more interesting period of history, the medieval history, and started from there, really. There's a very good social side to it. You meet a lot of people, you go to beautiful castles like Warwick and travel around the country, but it's also interesting looking at the history side of it.
Each person in the society takes on a name of a real person from the period. Chris is Edward the Black Prince. Naturally, Christine has taken on the name of his partner in life.
Joan of Kent, which is Edward the Black Prince's wife. She was quite a lady, really. She's said to be the fairest maid of Kent and the most beautiful woman in England, but you can only take reenactment so far, can't you?
On the field of battle, the rules of chivalry apply. But what would happen if someone did lose their temper?
Oh, no, no. I mean, that's one thing that's instilled in everyone who joins the society. Tempers, if anyone lost a temper on the field, it'd be straight out of the society. No, it's done as a form of enjoyment, not as a release of aggression, though it does serve that purpose. But at the end of the day, I want everyone to go home, you know, with all the limbs intact.
Come on, let's cheering from over here, come on! Another one!
The swords are what's called rebaited, which are blunted on the edge, so they're not razor sharp. I mean, that would be taking reenactment a little too far.
And surely the pointed question in all our minds is, does it hurt?
It doesn't hurt at all. When you get hit on the back, or, well, if you get hit anywhere with, when you're wearing armour, you know you've been hit, but it doesn't hurt. But that's the function of armour anyway, to help protect you from getting hurt.
And what about the onlookers? Any knights in shining armour among their ranks?
Well, it's better than beating their wives, isn't it? No, I think it's very good, but I'd hate to do it myself. I'd get too hot, and I wouldn't like to wear all the clobber.
Well, it's kind of boys and toys, really, isn't it? I mean, it's interesting historically, I suppose, yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's fun.
Do you fancy having a go yourself?
I don't know, yeah, I mean, half of me says I probably should say no, because, you know, I'm not supposed to be into weapons and things like that, but of course, secretly, I'd quite like to slay a few people, yeah.
So if you wanted to be a knight or a belted earl, or just to belt an earl, always remember throughout history, the gun is mightier than the sword.
Now, when you go to the cinema, you expect to see a film. Well, here at the Ritz in Pocklington, you get to see the film, but there's something beyond the screen as well. And here, not sitting in the cheap seats, is Pat and her two beautiful assistants. Pat, you thought your prince would come, didn't you?
Yes.
He's on the next bus. Pat, what is all this?
This is part of our large collection of old amusement machines. You know the kind that used to be on the pier? What the butler saw, all that kind of thing? Thank you.
You're going to show me your favourite first of all, eh?
It's one of my favourites.
One of your favourites,
yes. I like
yes.
the silly ones, you know.
Go ahead. Our Firefighters, it's called.
That's right, and very appropriately, you can see it has the Ritz written on it, and since this is the Ritz Cinema as well, it's quite appropriate. In goes the penny, and you've started a fire, look, and there's a fire engine rushing, well, sort of rushing out, isn't he? These are useless, but this fireman is so brave. He's heard a baby crying out there, and he's gone up to save the baby. Isn't he brave? If he's quick, and he is quick, look, there's a tiny baby there in a little white shawl, and the baby was quite clean, just a little dust, so I think it's all right, don't you? Isn't that wonderful for one penny?
Indeed. Well worth a penny.
That's right. It's one of the ones I approve of out of my husband's collection.
Pat Gresham and her husband John have been collecting penny Arcadia machines for 20 years and have now put them on show for the public. It all started for John at the seaside as a lad.
Well, I've been attracted to them since I was a little child in a caravan site on the Yorkshire coast where I used to play in the arcade every day that it was wet. And I loved the machines in that arcade, and I started to collect them. And I became absolutely fascinated with their mechanism, their artistry, and their history. And I started going round arcades asking people if they'd any old machines.
John, a Hull timber merchant, carried on asking all over Britain, Europe and America. So, what was the attraction?
Their workmanship, some of it is superb, and they are the precursors of many ideas that are still current today. The jukebox, motion pictures, many other items were initially developed in these amusement machines.
Pat, this is the Mills Perfect Muscle Developer. What on earth is it and where did it come from?
They have lovely terms in those days. The perfect muscle developer. It's just what it says, really. You used to heave on here, having put your penny in, and then the dial would tell you whether you were sort of Rambo or puny. This is supposed to be an example to us all. I don't think he's particularly good. If you notice, he's got a few pimples there, hasn't he? But then he's got eyes to match the owl. Don't you think the owl's rather nice? As you can see, this is cast iron, and yet it's beautifully cast. None of your chipboard. This is solid oak, and even the signs here are beautifully enamelled. Don't you think they're a nice-looking machine?
Lovely. How old would that machine be, Pat?
Oh, well, Mills would go, this would be about the turn of the century.
And Mills went on to other things, didn't they?
Yes, they did, and they made bombs, and they made particularly bomb sights for aeroplanes for us. But you can imagine, remember the title? Mills Novelty Company? The War Office sending orders, Dear Mills Novelty Company, could we have 2 tons of bombs, please? P.S. You couldn't change your name, could you? And they wrote back and said, in future, direct your correspondence to Mills Manufacturing Company. So they changed their name for us during the war, which was very accommodating, I think.
By far the most popular of all the machines was the mutoscope, the what the butler saw to you and me. John has long had his own particular favourite.
Oh, that is a great favourite of mine. It was made in America in 1902. It's cast iron, and the artistry of that casting, to me, is absolutely superb.
Was it a form of mild pornography, perhaps, when it was first shown?
In Europe, yes, but strangely enough, in America, they are a children's machine. They're regarded as a kiddies machine, showing Charlie Chaplin reels and cowboy reels, a playroom machine. It's only in Europe that they have their slightly naughty connotation.
Which do you prefer?
Well, I suppose it reveals my true nature. I like the slightly naughty connotation.
Well, naughty or not, John has collected and lovingly renovated 400 machines, with wife Pat also taking a keen interest.
Thank goodness she does. Yes, it'd be very difficult otherwise.
She doesn't get tired of it at all?
No, no, she's very enthusiastic, and where I'm concerned, she says, well, it's better than drink or other women, isn't it?
So that's what the butler saw. I didn't know Georgie had been around that long. Anyway, from me, from the past, it's Back to the Future. My thanks to Lisa and to Charlotte. You want a big finish? We've got one. Maestro, take it away.
A tranquil country landscape. Nothing out of the ordinary in that, you may say. But here at North Newbold, near Market Wheaton, nothing is quite as it seems. The flying Huntingtons are a regular part of this pastoral scene. Whizzing along on their daily family outings, but with a difference, on their amazing cycling machines, the penny farthing, or ordinary in technical parlance. Machines which may look quaint, old-fashioned and dangerous, but ones on which they quite literally rule the world. Father Tony is the current Veterans World Champion, had his first attempt in Belgium earlier this year.
I ended up winning the Veterans Championship of the world. But it really was a tremendous surprise to me. I wasn't expecting it at all. I did get a rainbow jersey for this, which is something which I didn't even know what it was until I'd won it. People have explained that only world champions get these things. The middle daughter, Alice, is the one who first learned how to ride an ordinary, and she is now the ladies' world champion ordinary rider from Belgium this year. And Amelia, the youngest one, who is 13, has been riding an ordinary for 2 years now, and I think it's only a matter of time before she overtakes her elder sister, because she's really, for a youngster of her age, is doing very well.
Amelia actually came third to her sister in the World Championships this year. Not often you get two world champions and a potential one all in one family. It all started when Alice fancied having a go at penny farthing riding and naturally wanted the best in the world to teach her.
Well, we were all at a international cycle rally in Scotland about 2 years ago, and at the same time there were some world championships going on up there. I hadn't really noticed ordinaries much before then, but anyway, I just thought I'd like to have a go. And Dad managed to get the world champion to teach me.
When we came home after the rally in Scotland, we went along to our local club and said, Alice wants to learn how, or wants to ride a penny farthing, and the whole family would quite like to learn. Has anyone got any bits of penny farthings which they can lend us, and so that I can put them together and try and get them into a rideable condition for the family? And it gradually grew from there.
It grew so much that it's taken over the life of the Huntingtons. Always keen on cycling, they are now penny farthing mad, riding most days and every weekend. The machines are everywhere you look. Tony's now become a kind of penny farthing doctor to machines and their riders the world over. Letters, phone calls and bikes arrive from everywhere, from Eastern Europe to California. A trained engineer from Rolls-Royce, Tony taught craft and design for almost 30 years in North Humberside before taking early retirement and dedicating himself to the large-wheeled machines he loves.
It's a bit hard to wonder whether it's a full-time job or not. Some days I might work 18 hours, although I do stop to eat occasionally. 3 years ago I didn't know very much about penny farthings. Now I know quite a lot about the engineering
various bicycles, but there are 400 different makes for me to learn about in the British Isles alone. Whether I'm obsessed or not, well, I don't see why I shouldn't ride my penny farthing until I'm 90.
But for all of these Huntingtons, Tony included, it's the thrill of being in the saddle that really motivates them. Mum Huntington and eldest daughter Susie also like the penny farthings, but you may have noticed that they're riding slightly smaller bikes, still of a vintage age though. There's a reason for that. They actually prefer the smaller vintage bike without gears that they're riding here, though Susie still mixes mainly with penny farthing fanatics, even outside her family, as she cycles all over Europe.
I'd like to do a bit more cycling around the world. Earlier this year, about 2 months ago, I cycled from France to Boulogne. Sorry, from Boulogne to Ghent with a crowd of people, about 70 miles a day. Friends with penny farthings or ordinaries. Brilliant fun.
The main attraction to me is that I'm supporting my family when they're riding them, because it was my daughter who first wanted to ride them. I enjoy riding them, but I enjoy the whole family being involved in bicycles.
But what do friends think of the cycling mad Huntingtons?
I think they probably think I'm a bit strange. I don't care, I enjoy it.
Since you've been riding the penny farthings, have you ever stepped back on a normal bike?
Not much, no.
Why do you think that is?
I don't have a modern bike. It's not a challenge anymore to ride a modern bike.
So now you're ladies world champion. What's the next challenge?
I don't know, keep going I suppose. Not let my little sister overtake me.
Did somebody mention challenge? Well, I was determined to have a try. The cycling Spanswick, no less.
Let go, let go, let go. Oh, don't let go. Oh! I think this is fab. What a great view. Whoopee! You see, it's as easy as riding a bike. Anybody can do it, even me.
There's nothing like a nice day in Hull, and this is nothing like a nice day in Hull. But I've come here to meet a legend from Lancashire. One, Mr. George Formby. Sorry, George Moore.
Turned out nice again, hasn't it?
It's a bit wet, though. Your place or mine?
Let's go to my place, eh?
Why not? Come on.
Now I go into cleaning to earn an honest bob. For a nosy Parker, it's an interesting job. Now it's a job that just suits me.
You could be forgiven for mistaking George Moore for George Formby. The resemblance is uncanny.
Well, people sometimes say I do resemble him a bit. Yeah, I don't think it's... I'm not ashamed of being connected with George Formby. I'm honoured.
George Moore, who works in a paint factory, has spent over 40 years perfecting his act as George Formby. Even his house in East Hull is a shrine to his long-dead hero, with pride of place going to his father's gramophone, on which he heard this, his very first George Formby record all those years ago.
It sort of caught my eye. It was different from other records. And as time went on, I sort of got to 14, 15, and I used to go around collecting records. I'd go to the local music shop and get all the records that I could buy, till there was no more you could buy. And then it was a case of going round all the second-hand shops. And I used to go and, sort through all these 78s, you see. If I found one, on a Saturday, I'd come home. It was great, you see. So I used to put it on the gramophone and just sing with it. I don't know why, but I suppose I just liked his voice. And the ukulele playing was exciting and that. So I used to just sing with the records.
But this was back in the 50s when rock and roll was starting.
Oh, yeah, it was. Because I always remember me
the lad, one of my friends that lived right opposite me, you know, I mean, he'd come across, oh, I've got a great record, Bebop-a-Lula or something, he said. What's that? He was having a funny turn, you see. And then there was big arguments about, Elvis Presley was a lot better singer than George Formby, like, you know, and I says, well, at least you can hear what George Formby says and all this, you know.
Pyjamas lying side by side, ladies' nighties I have spared. I've often seen what goes inside when I'm cleaning windows.
George bought his first ukulele as a teenager for 30 shillings. That's £1.50 to you and me. He taught himself to play and practice day and night to be ready for his first concert in a Hull park.
Now there's a famous talkie queen.
Many years ago in the East Park, when they used to have the old open air concerts. I always remember I went with my mates, you know, died of death. We couldn't get out the park quick enough, although it's different doing it here and doing it in the park. And then I did 1 or 2 more park concerts, and my wife, being sort of an ex-dancer, she was, you know, into entertainment sort of thing, and she was part of a concert party, so they wrote me into that, and that sort of did me quite a lot of good. And then it just went on from there, you know, carrying on clubs sort of thing. I worked at clubs for quite a few years, a lot of years.
But a lot of years have also been spent in practicing. Imagine this. Every night for 40 years, George has spent at least an hour a night at the top of the stairs. The acoustics are best there, rehearsing his George Formby routine.
Possessions since Grandad was a lad. I'll tell you what it is and then you'll know. It's me Grandad's flannel that night, shirt in it I was christened one day. Down at the church, either were in the world. No.
You never get tired of it?
No, never get tired of it. I think it's always a challenge, you know. It's something that you want to perfect, and you're not going to perfect it by saying, right, you know, I'll play it next time I go out. There's no way you can perfect something like that. You've got to keep practicing.
I'm leaning on the lamp. Maybe you think I look a tramp. Are you missing?
I think it's very powerful music. People might think, well, you know, it's just daft and gormless and this like that. But I mean, even today, I mean, music is powerful.
And if you think that's what I love, I'll tell you why I'm here and what my motives are. I'm leaning on a lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by.
What's your favourite song?
Well, I should think Leaning on a Lamppost, I should think. It's a song that will last. You know, it's not like a comic song, it's a song with feeling.
Get away, but anyway, I know that you'll try. All me, all mine. I hope the little lady comes by.
George's little lady, his wife Sheila, has always supported him in his quest for Formby-like perfection.
Well, she stuck by me all these years. She only hit me with a banjo once, but she threw it at me. But no, she's got to the stage now where if I play, she goes out next door. No, she's... you see, wives are funny people, you know. I mean, if somebody comes and says, oh, my husband sings like George Formby, you know, give him a song, you know. But if you want to get out and practice, like, you find everybody's gone.
It is a big obsession. It's a big thing in his life. I often wonder if it's a choice between me or George Formby, he would come first and not me. No, I don't think so, really.
I'm leaning on the lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by.
George's Formby act, performed in the clubs and pubs of Hull, certainly seems to please the punters, young and old alike.
different.
Yeah, it's different, and it's something you can get up to.
It's a change from what we usually get up to.
Well, I like his performance. I mean, it's like George Paul, you know, to a T. And George Paul may never be dead while he's alive.
We British love our pets.
We certainly do. From dogs, cats, goldfish,
Hamsters, wabbits.
horses and parrots.
But here in Yorkshire, they tend to prefer the slightly more unusual. So this week, who's into
Wild things. Arrgh. The River Humber. It's hard to imagine, but thousands of years ago, dolphins cavorted here in their hundreds. Today, only 2 are regularly seen round the coast of Great Britain, one off Northumberland and the other off Ireland. Close by the Humber Bridge in the village of North Ferriby, one man runs International Dolphin Watch to research and protect dolphins the world over. It all started in 1974.
Well, I was lucky enough to see a friendly wild dolphin off the Isle of Man, and I had the magical experience of seeing the dolphin come up underneath my 13-year-old son, pick him up out of the water, and then swim around the harbour at Port St Mary with the boy perched on his head. So there he was waving at me like that. So here was me, a medical scientist in the 20th century, seeing my son given a ride on a dolphin, a boy on a dolphin, a story that could have taken place 2,000 years ago and is in the literature. And, you know, when that happens, your destiny is changed. You can't see it immediately, but it is. And that was really what started me off on a dolphin trail that's gone on ever since.
Listen to Horace Dobbs and you can see he's obsessed. And why not, given the wonderful life his quest to protect dolphins has brought him?
I mean, I've been all around the world many times. I've been to the Galapagos Islands, I've been in Australia, the Great Barrier Reef, to New Zealand, all those kind of places. But throughout it all, there has been this thread running of meeting up with dolphins.
Horace has written over a dozen books, naturally about dolphins, and made several films. He set up the International Dolphin Watch, which now has thousands of supporters. It publishes a regular magazine, supports academic research, and tracks dolphins and their well-being worldwide.
Well, one of the things I discovered very quickly was that dolphins have a sense of humour. And a sense of humour implies understanding what's going on inside your brain and how you think. And when I started swimming with dolphins under the sea, I realised that they were looking at me in the same way that I was trying to look at them. So here was an alien intelligence. And then anatomically, of course, they've got all of the wherewithal to have great intelligence. They've got a brain as big as ours, and it's as complex as ours. So it's really how were they using that intelligence was one thing that intrigued me. And I was intrigued by the fact that the dolphin I'd been looking at and who'd given my son a ride had a brain as big as mine, and if current evolutionary theory is correct, they've had their big brains for 20 million years longer than us.
Horace discovered that dolphins might have therapeutic powers to heal human depression through one quite remarkable event.
Then one day I was actually asked to take a man who was suffering from depression, a chronic depressive, out to see a friendly dolphin off the coast of Wales, where I was making a film. And the dolphin came up to this man in the water, and almost instantly you could see a bridge built between the two of them in the water. And Bill changed from that moment onwards. And his wife, who was in the boat, started to cry. And she said, "My husband hasn't smiled for 12 years and I've just seen a trace of the Bill that I used to know." So that started me off on a new trail, investigating the way in which dolphins can affect the human psyche, and in particular, how they can help people suffering from depression.
This is your time to experience the world of the dolphin dream time.
The result is this tape that tries to bring those feelings to everyone.
The dolphin dream time for thousands of years. The dream time is now open and available to all those who wish to enter.
And one of the most exciting things is that we are now putting our Dolphin Dreamtime tape into Japan, where it's being produced as a cassette and as a CD. So we hope that when the Japanese discover the fact that dolphins can help humans out of depression, they will look again at these animals that they are killing at this point in time, because they are saying that the dolphins are competing with them for fish. So what we want to do in a totally non-confrontational way is to get the Japanese to change their attitude towards dolphins and saying, look, these are not really threats. They can actually help not just us, but the whole world.
But back in North Ferriby, what do the villagers think of having such an exotic organisation and man in their midst?
I think it's a very good idea. I think it's very good, really. I'm pleased that it's very good. I'm very pleased he's doing it. Yeah.
If there was a lot more people like him, the world would be a lot better.
Well, it would.
Wouldn't it?
Yes.
Am I right?
He's doing a good job. It's pity the general public don't know more about him.
But unless we do learn more about Horace's dolphins, the knowledge they can give us may well be lost forever.
It's been calculated that if we could perform as efficiently as dolphins, we could run up and down Mount Everest at 30 miles an hour without stopping, because they are the most superb movers through the water. I think they give out a field, a force, an aura, an emanation, something that changes the human state of mind and makes us feel more joyful. It makes us feel great. If you've been for a swim with the dolphins, you know nothing else in the world matters. And I think, you know, that's what it's all about for me, really. They do give me this great feeling of joy. And if I can pass that feeling on to other people who are feeling down in the dumps, then I'm hopefully paying back just a little of something that I've got from the dolphins.
Last orders at a pub in Kirkella near Hull. After an 18-hour day, landlord Peter Humphreys is just longing to lock the doors and get upstairs to his living quarters. You'd imagine he just wants to put his feet up and watch a little television, perhaps a wildlife programme as befits a keen naturalist. Not a bit of it. He just wants to get upstairs to be with the animals that are his obsession. 5 South American iguanas who live in the tropically heated greenhouse he's built right here in his living room. It's silly, I know, but I'm really not keen on reptiles. I'd really rather have done the monkeys story, but here goes.
Come on then. That's it. Oh, nice.
Greenhouse in your living room. Isn't this taking indoor gardening a little bit too far? Peter, do you want to come out?
Oh, gosh.
Why on earth a greenhouse?
Oh, where else would you keep iguanas?
Of course. What made you decide to pick iguanas?
Well, I came across them by accident in a pet shop one day. I was looking at some fish, saw one, fell in love with it, and now you see what happened.
I'm not mad keen on reptiles myself. Why? I mean, how did you fall in love with an iguana?
Well, I mean, they're such wonderful animals. I mean, look how much interest on them there is. You know, dewlap here, fantastic claws. Touch it, feel how smooth it is.
I mean, her colour.
Colours.
Oh, it's quite incredible. And this is a she?
This is a she. She's pregnant, actually.
Oh, is that very rare?
Yes, and in respect of, there's never been... Well, I don't know of anybody that's captive bred one yet, and the difficulty is obviously getting them to a condition where they will actually lay eggs, and then your problems start after that is getting the humidity and the temperature right so that you can actually hatch them.
You'll notice that feeding time is about the only time iguanas really do move. Peter, a self-taught iguana expert, spends hours each week with them. His iguanas are fed a carefully controlled diet, but only 3 times a week, which could explain their table manners.
They can be totally vegetarian. Oranges, apples, bananas. But mine, we add cat food to it. Cat food as well. You know, it's got a lot of minerals in it as well. So that's why these look so good.
Perfect. But do Peter's regulars think so?
I have no objection to it at all. As long as they're kept in the place, which I have seen them upstairs. It's clean, it's tidy, there's no trace of them downstairs in the restaurant or in the bars at all. I don't mind at all.
I suppose like most people, unless you knew they were here, you wouldn't know, would you? Unless you were actually told that they were on the premises. No, it doesn't bother me at all.
As they're totally separate from the restaurant or the pub downstairs, and I mean the health inspector knows we've got them here, and so does the RSPCA. In actual fact, they visited here, and I've got a total clean bill of health as regards any problems like that.
As well as the motionless iguanas, Peter's living room is a mini zoo. He gave me a quick guided tour.
So cute.
Like E.T. His monkey tails stink. Look, he hangs upside down.
That is amazing.
Like a monkey.
Oh, look at him. So he's got a prehensile tail, I think.
That's right, that's a correct term.
Oh,
Isn't he lovely?
he is absolutely amazing.
Real friendly.
Hello.
Beautiful.
What kind of a tongue does he have? I'm obsessed with this.
He's a normal tongue like you and I as well.
Oh, has he? So
Yeah.
it's no forked tongue. Oh, I can hear him snorting.
Yeah. Very sharp claws.
Yeah.
But totally harmless.
God, he's
And
absolutely...
you can hold this
He's
one.
off. He's
you
off.
can hold this one by his tail. And there's no fear of it dropping off.
Oh, right. That's a comfort to me, Peter. I've seen something I'm not particularly keen on here.
What's that?
It's the sussing thing.
The sussing thing?
Yes.
You mean a snake?
I do mean a snake.
A little snake?
Oh, Peter.
He's only little. This is Boston. Hello, Boston.
Oh,
Come
joking.
on. No, this little lady here doesn't like snakes.
Do you know...
Are you going to come out and play? Eh? Are you going to come out and play?
How long is this snake?
About 16 foot.
That's it. I'm out of here.
Sorry. All right, there you go.
Okay, I have to beat this ridiculous fear. I've now been persuaded by my wicked producer and my contract to go back in.
What do you want me to do?
You've got to stroke her. Come on.
They do this to me on purpose. How much does this one weigh?
He weighs about 4 stone.
4 stone?
Yes, would you like him around your shoulders?
No, I really don't. Oh dear.
You think he's lovely? Look.
I don't know what. Get it away from me. No, Peter, please, please. Oh my God. I can't once.
Feel the weight of him then. Just.
Oh,
I've got his head.
Oh,
You hold his tail. Hold him.
Come on, hold him. I just can't. I just can't do
Look, I'll keep his head away from you. Look, his tail can't bite you.
I can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I don't know.
Heads or tails, I did keep trying to overcome my silly snake phobia, but without much success. Meanwhile, the iguana, to give them their proper name, think it's all a fuss about nothing and are not amused one little bit.
What a load of rubbish. You might think.
And in this consumer society, there seems to be more and more of it about, Ross.
Yeah, but to lots of people, it's not just rubbish or garbage.
No, it's historic.
Valuable.
Full of items worth collecting.
Bracing Bridlington, but it's not old boats that are being saved from the breaker's yard here. Oh no, it's what happens to prams once they've outlived their usefulness to their present owners that so fascinates one local lady.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Can I have a look inside?
Of course you can.
Oh, no baby.
Sadly, no. The family babies are all grown up.
So do you often go promenading with an empty pram?
Yes, I do, really.
What sort of reaction do you get from people?
Well, looks of amazement and then giggles and amusement. Nudge each other and say, there's a batty woman over there with nothing in her pram.
Oh, Joe, you should really be more careful as to who you let in your pram.
OK, Ross, if you're going to be that childish, you do the story.
This is where I keep some of my prams. This is quite an old one, 1928, and the lady from whom I got it used to be wheeled to school in this. So she was about 5 years old. Has no brake, fairly basic, just like a pushchair really. Then we come to this one, which is older. This is known as a mail cart. This is Edwardian pram.
When did prams first start?
Well, really only came into general use for public in about sort of 1850. Queen Victoria popularised them. She ordered 3 for her ever-increasing family, and then the public saw them and thought it was a good idea to be able to take the child about. So that's how it really started. And the original makers of prams were coach builders.
And they certainly then changed prams as well, didn't
and
they?
then this is a beautiful pram, but it's only 23 years old. And you can see how beautifully it's sprung, whereas this one is a fairly hard ride. As I say, 23 years old and a very large pram indeed. Even has a little bit in the end.
Aha, the horse. Not quite the kind of horse I imagined, though.
This is the horse, yes. Isn't he lovely? He's sort of made of horse hair. This is all from the combings of a horse tail.
Yeah.
And he rocks. When he's pushed, that wheel goes round and the horse rocks. And he's every detail, little bridle, the long reins for the child to hold the reins, even a whip.
And a whip?
Yeah.
A real
sure,
whip?
A real whip.
The detail is absolutely amazing.
It is, it's lovely, isn't it? They were originally 39 and sixpence. I saw them in a catalogue. Cost me rather more than 39 and sixpence, but he's lovely, isn't he?
Yeah.
I just love them. I've always loved them from being a child. I can remember lying in my own pram. Mum used to put me under the trees and I could sort of see the leaves waving about. And it was just a retreat, really. Felt safe there. And then as I grew, I had a doll's pram, which I suppose most little girls have. And then I graduated to larger and larger prams, and now the bigger it is, the better I like it.
So when did you first really start collecting them, though?
About 20 years ago, I suppose. We moved about because my husband was in the bank, and we went to look at a house. We moved to Somerset, and we went to look at a house. And when we walked in, there was a beautiful old pram sort of sitting there in the window. So the lady said, I said, oh, lovely pram. So the lady said, well, if you buy the house, you can have the pram. So we bought the house.
That pram became 200. Now it's down to just 150, some dating back to the 1890s. She keeps them in rented shops and lofts. A retired nursing sister, mother of 2 grown-up sons, and a grandmother, Jo is a charmingly normal lady. Until, that is, you mention prams.
It's like a disease. Sometimes they take over. It just depends. It comes in sort of spurts. You see, somebody said, well, you can't look at all those prams all the time. And I said, well, no, but you see, I know they're there, so that when I want to go and open the door, I can go and open the door and look at them and admire them, and then I'll get one out and play with it. They have to be kept warm, and it's an expensive business, really. And then I have a lot that are waiting to be renovated. Sometimes some of the prams are in beautiful condition, and other times they're a bit of a wreck. And then I don't really do a lot to restore them. I just clean and polish and, you know, try to get them back as near as I can to what they looked like when they were new.
Every pram tells a story, and Jo remembers this particular one and its original owners especially.
And it turned out that these people, when they'd married, had been very short of cash, so they hadn't had a car, they'd had a tandem bicycle. And when she was expecting her first baby, they'd cycled into one of those cities, sold the tandem and bought the pram with the proceeds, wheeled the pram home, put us in the bedroom awaiting the arrival of this precious baby. And she said we used to sit in bed saying, isn't it a beautiful pram? And this was the reason why she wanted me to have it. Her daughter had rejected it, and she was really very upset about it. And I left her. She said, when you go, I shall be in the kitchen. Will you just take it and go? And she had tears running down her face, and she went into the kitchen, and we loaded the pram and brought it home.
Over the years, Jo has spent thousands of pounds and travelled the width and breadth of the country to sale rooms, auctions and private houses to build her collection. Husband Peter even had to choose his car primarily for its pram-carrying capabilities.
I suppose you might say that my particular job has been transport manager. I think over the last 20 years, before I knew we were coming over here, I sort of worked it out. I think we've covered 15,000 miles plus collecting prams, but I've really lost count now. We just get in the car and go. Apart from that, my other particular job, I would think, is general cleaner. I seem to spend my spare time assisting with the cleaning. I get the rough jobs. Josie does the fine-tuning, you might say.
But a lot of women are interested in them, you know. Very often won't say so, but until you start talking about them, and then they'll tell you what sort of pram they had, what colour it was, how much they paid for it, and where it went to when it went. And a lot are quite sad to see it go. After all, it's the happiest time in your life when your family are babies, I think, or one of the happiest.
Just an ordinary pile of bricks, you might think, but no, in this market garden in Plaxton Bridge near Beverley lies one of the world's largest collections, and over the last 20 years, Anne Loss, a local school teacher, has been collecting 3,000, from Roman bricks to right up to the present-day brick you might find in a builder's yard. I'm going to go and have a chat, cement our relationship. Anne, a lot of people would think 3,000 bricks in a greenhouse is a little bit strange. How on earth did you get started?
Ravenscar was our first place, where we'd gone to see the alum quarries there. My husband has always been interested in industrial archaeology, and the bricks were all marked Ravenscar and Brother Whittaker and Sons. And I said, you ought to make a note of these names. He said, no, you do it, I'm too busy. So I just started with a notebook, noting the names of the bricks. And then we brought the odd one back and so on. I'd no intention of collecting. I didn't realise there were so many when I started off. But once you see, there are so many different bricks, different varieties, and even the same type of brick you get different names on because they've been made in a different part of the country in a different colour.
What's the attraction of bricks, Anne?
I think it's the skill of the craftsmen involved, the carpenters that make the moulds for the bricks. There's the brickmaker himself that actually works. The skill of the kilnman, he's very important in the brickyard because he actually fires the produce, and if it's fired wrongly, they lose their money at the end of the week. And of course then there's the builder that comes at the end of it and puts the products together and makes us a fine building. It's industrial archaeology. It has been in lots of cases forgotten, and I just felt it needed looking after.
So it's a real journey through history, isn't it, really?
It is. It's a craft of craftsmen very proud of their industry that's gone on since man was, hasn't it? Yeah. You know, with they've made bricks.
No. I love all the shapes as well. That's quite nice. I like that one.
Yeah, this is interesting as well. Mr. Frank, John Frank on South Ferriby was selling these bricks, and he'd had a complaint. His bricks weren't up the usual standard, and when he went to inspect them, they weren't his bricks. He could tell from the clay. So he went home, took one of the round holes out and put an F in. Excellent. So everybody could recognise his bricks and nobody could accuse him of inferior bricks.
One of Frank's bricks. I love all the colours as well. I mean, they're stunning colours.
Yeah.
That red one's nice.
Well, that's your line in around the gents' toilet or the ladies' toilet or the kitchen. That's how the red lines come around the toilet.
Oh, lovely pictorial humour for you. And the 6 and 6, what's that?
Swimming baths? The deep end?
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wonderful.
But apart from saving bricks from the scrap heap, Anne is also into all kinds of brick memorabilia, like this strange brick-making machine.
3,000 bricks will be made on that a day by one person, somebody carrying the clay to it and then somebody turning that 3,000 times a day to make a brick.
one brick at a time.
Brick machines, bricks, tiles, ceramic decorations, you name it, and in the brick line, Anne has probably got it, usually rescued from brickyards and demolition sites throughout the north. Little wonder that in the Cottingham school where she teaches, Anne is known as Mrs. Brick. It also helps that her husband is a market gardener with a few large empty greenhouses around. But not only is everything neatly stacked, it's precisely documented too.
Anything that I can get hold of on bricks, I keep it and I record it. All my files that you've seen are full of the details of the yards under the actual name of the locality. The men who work there, pictures of the yard, drawings of the yard, the bricks they produce, the different types, prices, catalogues, you name it, I've got it.
So with all this brickwork, what's life like for husband Peter?
Hard work most of the time. I'm the hod carrier, basically. And whenever we go to give talks or collect bricks, we have to carry the bricks. And that's my job. I don't like to see Anne working too hard, but she can beat me at it most of the time anyhow. Yeah.
Anne has collected 3,000 bricks in 20 years. So how many more are there to go? When will the collecting hit a brick wall?
Henry Holt and I do swaps, this Lancashire gentleman, and we've worked out there must be at least 10,000 different bricks, so I have a little way to go yet.
There you go, Anne. Hop to it. 3001, 3002,